Welcome to Pabo.com, the podcast. Discover your sexual journey with Nynke Nijman.
Have you ever heard of the Orgasm Gap? It described the difference between man and woman in the number of orgasms they have while having sex. Within heterosexual contexts, the percentage of men reaching an orgasm is much higher than the percentage of women reaching an orgasm. Within lesbian sexual contexts, both women get an orgasm much more often. Something doesn't add up here. That within heterosexual contexts, sex is more focused on men than on women. That men are more assertive in giving directions in what arouses them and what they need to reach an orgasm. That heterosexual sex is often focused on penetration. And although this is perfectly stimulating for men to reach an orgasm, most women don't find this stimulating enough. The women should be more assertive for the things they need and want. The women should get to know their body better, to know what they enjoy and to what their body reacts to. That women, men, and people in general deserve the same amount of attention within sex. And that everyone has the right to get aroused. You could say all of the above, and nothing would be unrealistic or surreal. But what I also find important to stress is that sex isn't about having orgasms, or who comes more often than the other person. Sex is about equality, arousal, knowing your own body and discovering someone else's body. Sex is about being allowed to be curious, about intimacy and love. There is a challenge, however, in the orgasm gap discussion, or in the feministic movement that is fighting for the right to have an orgasm. It is extremely important to decide what part of the discussion you emphasize. Do you think it is important that women and men have the same number of orgasms? Do you think women have the right to have orgasms? Do you think people have to be more assertive? That women have to know their own bodies better? Do you think that a bed partner is responsible for a woman reaching an orgasm? And do you think sex isn't complete until you've reached an orgasm? Or would you like to see that both women and men enjoy sex equally? And people focus more on alternative ways of having sex than just penetration to satisfy female pleasure? That penetration sex isn't the norm any longer, which isn't for so many people already. And masturbation and oral sex is seen as full-blown sex. If you emphasize on the first written, there is a risk of making it even harder to reach an orgasm for those women who already find it hard to reach an orgasm, just because there is even more pressure on it. Apparently, sex isn't good enough if you haven't reached an orgasm. Apparently, they aren't assertive enough. Apparently, they don't know their body well enough. Apparently, their partner isn't focused on their pleasure enough. Apparently, their partner doesn't know them well enough. And apparently, they have failed. Or they will fail if they won't reach an orgasm the next time they have sex. No pressure, please. The chance on enjoying sex should be equal for everyone. And yes, there needs to be more focus on sexual pleasure for women, with a focus on everything that is still there to explore. But please, let us be aware of not putting even more pressure on reaching orgasms, especially for those women who already find it hard to reach one.